What's up, guys, and welcome to another Week 2 game preview. This time we are talking about the Carolina Panthers going up against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, a battle of the NFC South. From the quarterback side for Carolina, Teddy Bridgewater, he's a decent two-quarterback or super flex quarterback. I'm definitely not starting him as a single quarterback if you're in a 12 or 14 team league or whatever it may be. But as a second quarterback in a super flex, he's a good option just for the fact that they're probably going to be playing from behind or they're going to need to play catch up. He's pretty safe with the football, so you don't really have to worry about a lot of interceptions or anything like that. But he's not going to be real flashy. So if you need like a safe floor from your second quarterback, I think Teddy Bridgewater is the way to go, especially with the weapons that he has. For the running back, Christian McCaffrey, he's staying in your lineup. He's a mainstay. Keep him in there. He's pretty much matchup proof. Not that Tampa Bay is a killer against running backs, but you're not taking him out, so there's really nothing to say about him. If you got him, then congratulations on picking first overall this past year, because you got the best fantasy player in the league. Their wide receivers, Robbie Anderson had a big game last week. I know he was a huge waiver wire pickup this past week, and then DJ Moore, he was one of their mid to high round draft picks in your fantasy drafts. I know I'm really high on him, so I got him in quite a bit of leagues. I'm definitely keeping him in all of the lineups that I have him in. I'm not really worried about his. It's not like he didn't have the usage last week. He just he didn't really have the game that I thought that he was going to have against Las Vegas, but I'm not worried about it. I think that he's just going to come out even better this week and hopefully prove anybody that doubts him wrong. But Robbie Anderson, let's get back to him a little bit. He's a decent play. Teddy Bridgewater obviously shows some trust in him, threw the ball at him quite a few times. He caught 6 passes, went over 100 yards, had a touchdown, had Teddy Bridgewater's only receiving touchdown. So you could probably squeeze him into like a flex spot, especially in a game like this where, again, Carolina is probably going to be behind. They're going to need to throw it a lot. I think Robbie Anderson is a good play. DJ Moore is a good play. Curtis Samuel, I'm probably staying away from. Seems like Robbie Anderson is really taking that Curtis Samuel spot. Ian Thomas, another one. He's kind of on that. I need to see a little bit more from you before I start putting you into my lineups. And if you've listened to any of the shows before, Dr. Fantasy has said that this year's tight end class for fantasy tight ends is just super deep. So you really don't need to rely on guys like Ian Thomas, Cameron Brate, guys like that. There's plenty of other guys out there, even maybe floating around your waiver wire, that are going to put up more points than these guys and be more safe for you. But that's pretty much it for the Carolina side as far as offense goes. Really, DJ Moore, Christian McCaffrey are really the only guarantees. Teddy Bridgewater is on the fence. Robbie Anderson is more of a flex. And then let's shift on over to Tampa Bay and talk about who they got going for them. All right, with Tampa Bay, you obviously have Tom Brady. Starting him in all formats, all leagues, if you got him. Just because of this defense, I think he's going to have a huge game. I mean, he's coming off a pretty big game. The 2 interceptions are kind of like, people are kind of looking at it and saying that's not really a Tom Brady type game. And while you might be correct, he still had 3 total touchdowns, 2 passing touchdowns, and one rushing touchdown against a little stronger defense in New Orleans. So coming in against Carolina, I think he's going to be a top 12 quarterback this week, be a QB1 this week for you. So if you got him, play him. Obviously in a super flex and 2 quarterback league, just throw him in there and just be happy with the points that he gets you. On the wide receiver side, Chris Godwin, he's been kind of banged up in concussion protocol this past week. It's unsure if he's going to play. Scott Miller, who was a huge waiver wire pickup this past week, probably even more so than Robbie Anderson was. He figures to be kind of step into that Chris Godwin role if Chris Godwin can't go. Even last week, with Chris Godwin in the lineup, Scott Miller still had 5 catches for him. Tom Brady seems to have trust in him, seem to like going his way, so that's definitely a nice sneaky play there. Play him as like a wide receiver 3, maybe a flex. Mike Evans, who was banged up last week, ended up playing. He didn't really do much on the stat sheet, except he did have 1 catch for a 2-yard touchdown. I wouldn't even call it saving the week because you were already at risk with playing him, and that's not a Mike Evans type day. The 1 catch for the 1 touchdown. The touchdown, was better than no touchdown, obviously, but that's not what you expect out of Mike Evans. I think he's a little healthier now. He should, especially if Chris Godwin is out of the lineup, Mike Evans should have a better game. But even with Chris Godwin in the lineup, if he ends up playing, we're going to see the actual Mike Evans that we're used to seeing this week. But Scott Miller, so you have to keep an eye on Chris Godwin. I definitely would play Mike Evans, and Scott Miller kind of on the fence. If Chris Godwin doesn't play, I think he's a must play. If Chris Godwin does play, it really depends on the size of your league and how many spots that you could play, because I think he could be a good flex or a wide receiver 3 option, but you just don't want to throw all these different Buccaneers on your roster if you have them all. Going into the tight ends, you got Rob Gronkowski, who had a little bit of a rough game last week, but again, he's coming off of a year where he took off. O.J. Howard, he caught one of Tom Brady's touchdowns last week. To be honest, I'd probably be more comfortable playing O.J. Howard than I would Rob Gronkowski if you have either one of them. If you need to play one of them in your tight end spot, O.J. Howard is probably the better play here. Rob Gronkowski, probably want to give him a little bit more time to get into the offense and see what kind of target share he's going to get. But O.J. Howard, I think, is a good play here. Ronald Jones, especially against that Carolina defense, I think he's if you got him, he's an excellent running back play for you. Leonard Fournette, they still got to try to work in a little bit. He had 5 carries last week. It's still going to take a little bit of time, and who knows ultimately what his final role on the team is going to be. But for now, for the near future, it's Ronald Jones. I think he's the only running back that you should be playing from this team. From the defensive side of things, not playing Carolina at all. Definitely anticipating a lot of points from Tampa Bay, so you could just leave Carolina on waivers where they belong. They shouldn't even be picked up. Tampa Bay, there's a lot of weapons over on Carolina's side, and they did put up 30 points last week against the Las Vegas Raiders, which Las Vegas is definitely not the defense that Tampa Bay has, but if they're going to be competitive in this game, they're going to need to score some points. I'd probably still be comfortable playing Tampa Bay's defense, but there's probably better out there. I wouldn't put them in the top 12 or top 14 as a defense that needs to be played, but if you want to get to Teddy Bridgewater or think that they could shut down the offense as a whole, by all means, play the Tampa Bay defense, but I'd probably look somewhere else if you can. And then finally, the kicking game. Again, it all goes hand in hand with the offenses. Ryan Succop for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. He could be good, especially if you think that Tampa Bay is going to be putting up a lot of points, getting into the red zone, kicking field goals, getting extra points for them getting touchdowns. He could definitely be a good play there. For Carolina, you got Joey Sly. Again, they're in warmer weather, so I'm not really against playing them at all. It's just a matter of if you think Carolina is going to be able to put up the points and kind of keep up with Tampa Bay. But overall, I think you got a lot of solid options from this game. Like I said, Tom Brady, Mike Evans, Scott Miller, O.J. Howard, Ronald Jones just from Tampa Bay's side, DJ Moore, Christian McCaffrey, possibly Robbie Anderson from Carolina's side. So it's like always, these NFC South games usually are pretty back and forth and put up a lot of points and have a lot of fireworks in them. So hopefully that's how it is, even with Teddy Bridgewater down there in Carolina now. Hopefully they could kind of just go back and forth and give us fans something to cheer about.